Please welcome the chairman of the board of Central Invest Bank, Vasily Vysokov. The topic of his presentation is the art of analysis of big data. Good afternoon, dear friends. I'm very happy to see that there are many people in the room interested in the art of data analysis. Today, my presentation is on the following. We talk a lot about big data. I'd like to eliminate certain illusions we might have there. I'd like to present a rather realistic view on what we should actually be working on by analyzing certain data. The best comparison that we can make of big data is autumn, when a lot of leaves are falling from the trees. Those leaves are beautiful, but the maximum we can get of them is 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 bouquets that we can make. The rest of those leaves would be used as some kind of a fertilizer. Interestingly enough, you can use fertilizers to create some kind of weird bouquets as well, to recycle them and turn into something else. But the key question, why do we engage ourselves in data analysis? We use digitalization first, then we process it further, and we want to get some kind of new image, new type of emotions. And further on, what worries us today in big data analysis is that it is reproductive, and as a result of big data analysis, we get new type of data that we have to do something. So I'd like to share with you the key problem we face in big data analysis, and I hope that those of you who use new machine methods of data processing will take that into account. The first thing we need to understand is that no means of data processing can provide us with a reliable result, because the classical statistics says what we need and how we need to do that is that the applied statistics is what we need in a way how it can be done. So the question is, why are we actually doing it? Why are we processing and analyzing data? We can talk about it for a long time, but in practice, what we need is either to simplify this data or to deepen our understanding of the world around us. And from this viewpoint, if we cannot get the perfect solution, we should search for creative solutions, probably. And everything we do with data today, no matter how big it is, it's still a cube comprised of n number of observations, m indicators, t period of time, certain gaps that we will have to fill. And what we do is we try to turn big data and cut them out into a cube, or make this cube smaller, just like we play with clay. We use clay to create something, some kind of an image, and then it turns out that there might be various options of those images. And most excitingly, whenever we start analyzing the data on those images we received, with a certain degree of probability, we might make a prediction. If, let's say, it's an image of a girl and how she will look like, we might say that she is choosing the color of a tie to make a present to her boyfriend. So, we need to understand clearly that first and foremost, the way out of this situation is to know and understand that big data analysis is not always clear. We do not know, and nobody can prove whether the glass of water is half full or half empty. It can be endless, because we can argue forever whether the glass is half full or half empty. There are always many different options is because data can be processed in many different ways. It is conditioned because everything that is being stated as an outcome of the analysis has to make references or to the fact that it is the fact only if certain conditions are met. And finally, it is reproductive because processed data is again an subject to analysis. As for the methods of analysis, our mathematicians have control over the situation, and they understand that the mathematical analysis has been developed so that those cubes could be further split in different moments of time. We can do correlational and regressional analysis. We can analyze the number of indicators. We can further separate them or compress them from the number of observations we make. We can also do technical analysis. There are many different mathematical analyses. But it is important to understand that there is no perfect solution, so we have to search for creative solutions. And in order to search for creative solutions, there are no algorithms for that, but the practice accumulated certain principles that we can be guided by when doing data analysis. When describing an object, nobody knows how our economy is going to evolve. 0.1% of GDP, whether it's good or bad. We can use different algorithms to calculate that. We can use different compilation methods, but my favorite data analysis is that data analysis is endless, but there is a clear deadline when you have to provide a report. That would put a full stop to the torture of data analysis. It is an iterative process, so we have to operate with the prerequisites you have to do this analysis. So you can draw a brand new picture of new data. Another favorite approach I use is a layered pie, because mathematical data processing should be complemented by the analysis of the content. And if you make it like a pie type diagram, you can get good results. So analysis of the content is important because the correlation per se doesn't prove anything. Mathematical formulas and results of processing using machine algorithms do not prove anything. You need to understand the actual level of impact. Now, hardly ever people doing data analysis take a look at the preliminary formulas used in the analysis. But the first thing we need to analyze and understand is the coefficient of correlation. If you simply read the formula, the calculation of the coefficient of correlation, you will see that this indicator shows nothing apart from the level of deviation from this correlation. So we have to relate to the school of Solomon Brahms, because that is a matter of provision of this series. So we can talk about that a long time, and we can write a lot of reports, but I remember back at the time when I was a student, it was at Tomsk University, the students were simply using a theorem to prove the minimax principle. You have to make it clear and obvious. Iteration in data analysis can be very troublesome and painful exercise, but the key thing is that you need to understand the nature of it. You need to make sure that yet another negative result does not upset you. If the customer is not happy with the outcome, if you are not happy with the outcome, just make one step back and think what else can be done from the viewpoint of the input data. Get rid of the indicators that deviate too much. Try to split them into several groups and say, here and there it doesn't work well. Well, this one is great. And if you fail at everything, just make one more step back and take a look how data was gathered, how it was processed. So we can talk about principles a lot. I wanted to show you some pictures. So what we get as a result of data analysis. The problem we have in Russia is the supervision and supervisory actions by the central bank. From the experience of our bank, we can tell you that more than 3,800 that more than 300 days in a year are spent in going through the inspections and supervisions. That is a lot. But if you have data analysis at your disposal, you can actually analyze how this data works. So what we get is 2 quadrillion of pages of the acts of inspection and around 1 quadrillion of counterclaims to those acts. It's a great array of data that you can structure, you can analyze it, and get a certain image. An image of an AI of the supervising bodies. So the supervising bodies are doing inspections by checking certain events of yesterday and compare them to the instructions given before that. So once you start understanding what outcome should it be, you will see that the processing of this data enabled us to create a model of AI, and depending on the actual situation and the composition of the act of inspection enables us to classify the behavior of the inspectors in a rather positive way. First of all, we are happy to recognize that in half of the cases, those inspections simply state that we comply with the current regulation. As for the cases that we have rather corrupt inspectors, is not right to say. And in 20% of the cases, it turns out that inspecting bodies actually provide for reasonable advice that can be useful for the businesses. The remaining 30% is again interesting experience, because 15% of what we encounter is corruption. The demands of the inspector are crazy. Let's say they might request you pay for the gasoline for my car, and I'll consider the inspection done. And we also see that 5% are the acts by your competitors, and even 10% can be the acts from the side of the fraudsters. We also analyzed data on the SMEs inspections that demonstrated very similar results. We decided to take a look at the situation with big businesses, and finally, in March this year, at the meeting of the organization of SMEs, we asked the heads of supervisory body, and they told us, well, you know, we're being inspected as well, and we have a somewhat similar situation. So we managed to create a good-looking and operational model. The second case I'm happy to share with you is the following. About 4 years ago, we started publishing data on the ICT. This statistics was split between different regions, and analysis of these statistics enabled us to identify the position of the Rostov region in the system of the ICT. And it turned out that Rostov region is ranked as an outsider among leaders. So the Minister of Economy was very critical on me because of that. But the Ministry of Telecommunication told us, wait, yes, we are outsider, but we are an outsider among leaders. So let us prepare a good program for the development of ICT in Rostov region. And it was a great stimulus. So even if you got a certain image as a result of data analysis, it is important what type of decision you will make. And the next situation, next case, I love Rostov region. I love the south of Russia, and I always professionally analyze the state of this region. So whenever we get to hear complaints that it is a crisis in global economy and the Russian economy is stagnating, we see that our indicators do not prove it. For a long time, we've been showing a growth in the tempos of industrial output. They were higher than on average in the country, while the prices of the manufacturers were lower than on average in the country. That was an anti-crisis strategy that we used to develop and attract investors. And even now, when we've seen the decrease of the tempos of growth, on average, the Rostov region is not on the top of all indicators, but the set of those indicators, climate, geopolitical location, education, and the rest, if you add up all of them, you would see that we are ranked rather nicely among the leaders of economic development in Russia.
So, the white book over there at the bottom of the slide, it's the first statistics reference book on the goals of sustainable development. And while we were working on it, together with the Rosstat company, and I phoned them up and I told him I'm something that I'm proud of. We are not at the very top, but all together the situation in the economy quite good. Another project was analysis of the banks of the regions, and the central bank is running statistics on the banks, breaking down the banks into large, in different areas, SMEs. It's a lot of information, and we had an ambition to analyze the 300 indicators, and we have received it, and as a result we have generated a report of 300 pages. And of course nobody needs that kind of report, 300 pages, because most of the focus is made on the macro policies, and as far as the financial policies in the regions are concerned, is of no interest to anyone. We could be discouraged with our work, but our approach was different. We analyzed the situation, and there we have come up with the validation of our business model. Central Invest Bank is the best. And another thing is something that our students do. We are talking about the future a lot, and we try to understand what should be expected from the future generation. Here we have the millennials and the startups, and our analysis of the big data shown versus 43 indicators what the youth is. They love their motherland and global competitiveness, and good youngsters, good kids. We wish we could do better and more for them. We keep analyzing big data, the indicators of the development of SMEs, and 2.5 billion rubles have been allocated to SMEs in Russia, and these things, the big data analysis results, are developed and are used for some specific products and platform. It is possible for the SMEs to develop the strategy for the development of their businesses, and that's about it. And I wish you success in the art of analyzing big data. And the last but not the least, it is SAP CIS, Mikhail Loginov, and the subject matter is the economy of impressions. Is it profitable to be a diligent customer? Okay, these slides are on. So what will I be talking about? Let me step down a bit to be closer to the audience and not to be overwhelming. The economy of impressions first came into being 1998 in Harvard Business Review. There was an article on what the impressions business is, and so there were predictions that there will be a new era coming, and the major commodity will not be the goods and commodities, but the impressions that those commodities, goods and services could generate. 20 years have passed since. And handling experiences of the users morphed into different forms. Shown over here are the pictures from insurance industry, and the insurance industry became the first to cause emotions in their customers, and those pictures remind you that insurance is related to the word fear in Russian, though the English word insurance has got nothing to do with fear. And the authors wanted to intimidate customers. They wanted to cause emotions, strong emotions, to cause them to buy a certain insurance product. Sometimes it might work, but not now, because people are missing good emotions, and they are prepared to pay for their good experience and good emotions. Let me give you another example. If you are here at the Phinopolis not for the first time, we have a stand over here of SAP company, and traditionally our coffee is the best, and we are not greedy. First, there was a queue, people queuing for coffee. There are more coffee machines, and virtually every stand has a coffee. But our coffee remains the best. So if you drink a coffee at the plantation in Brasilia, somewhere there, its price is 5 cents. In Starbucks, the same coffee would cost you 200 rubles. It's a Vienna cafe with the view and an old square. It would be some 15 euro. So what are we paying for the same product? And brewed in the same manner, the same taste. We are paying for the impressions. And so the banking industry and the insurance industry have potential that their customers are willing to pay for their impressions. Let's have an example of insurance company Discovery in South Africa. They've decided to get rid of the concept get insured, and if anything, we will pay you money. Their concept was different. It was providing incentives for a healthy way of life. They did not give you any discounts. They are not playing with the tariffs. They have standard tariffs for the insurance industry. But what they're saying is as follows. If you have insured your health and life, and if you have covered a certain distance, you will score certain vitality points. If you enter the fitness center and checked in over there, we will give you vitality points. If you have bought some healthy products, we will give you additional vitality points, and if you are a careful driver, you will receive vitality points. And so they have a network of different suppliers, and it's the whole system. So the insurance company became a marketplace, and their customers could get some kind of benefits for the vitality points, like discounts for flights or 10% cash back when filling gasoline at a certain filling station, some kind of gifts like smoothie free of charge, etc., on a weekly basis. So what is the company doing? They're focusing on the younger, healthy generations who are prepared to get benefits and positive impressions from their lifestyle. And another important fact, the company entered Germany market. They got united with a German company, and the sales volume has doubled within a month. But they were not satisfied with that. It was too little for them. And so this picture has everything. It is healthcare, business, auto, motor insurance, property insurance, whatever. And one thing was missing, banking services. That's why in March 2019 they have opened a bank, and they have complemented the Vitality range with a healthy behavior, healthy financial bank. Its first financial vitality. It is the first principle is spending less than earning. Another saving for buying, another ensuring the unforeseen risks, investing into long-term financial instruments. And one can score points and accumulate benefits that could be spent, like 100% cash back for sports or for a basket of healthy products. And how are they doing that? For example, Lufthansa could give the company 9% of discount. They give 7% of discount to their clients, 2% are remaining to them, and that's enough for them. So their business model is based on positive behavioral attitude and selling additional goods and services. So this story about the Discovery Bank is in contrast to how the insurance company are offering their products now and how they will be doing it in the future. What's interesting, and why we are talking about the Discovery Bank, that it is built on our SAP platform. They have all this stack. They launched in March, and their waiting list was 50,000 clients, and there were 50,000 customers waiting for the bank to start their operations. It means how much the customers would like to get a positive experience. So a rhetorical question. I wonder if there is anyone in your organization, or you could have heard that there is some chief experience officer in some company. Yes, we do have one in our company. So what's the terms of reference of the GXO? It is closing the gap between the expectations of the customers and the capabilities of the company. The study shows that the measurement that are done for the chief management reads that 80% of our customers have a positive experience of having our products. And if the independent survey would be performed, it turns out that only 8% of the clients tend to agree with this statement. So there is, and the difference between 80 and 8% is an experience gap. That is the difference in perception. Chief X officer task is to reduce the experience gap so that the executive summary picture and the perception of the client would match. That's what we are doing now, and that's what we have been talking about for the last 2 days over here. And what is being offered, what the SAP jointly with our new acquisition, Qualtrics company, can do. And the Qualtrics company is a grown start-up that has been analyzing the experiences or customer experience. I don't like actually the word user experience, UE. I'd rather talk about the experience, and the contemporary employees make use of smartphones. They have applications, and when they come to the banks and the interfaces are cumbersome, they are not easy to use, and some of them do not use the digital interfaces at all, so they receive negative experience, and quite often the younger generation just leave the banks because the employee experience is negative, so it is part of the user experience. How do our competitors perceive brand products, and what's the difference? Everyone has something on the offer. There's Google Analytics, Yandex Analytics. There are many developers that can upload the data and analyze them and see it. But what SAP offers and Qualtrics is offering, it is the merger of the different types of data, including experience data. At the moment when our clients are interacting with the mobile applications, with front office, with the interfaces and call centers, at this particular moment we should understand what went wrong, why customers stopped interacting. They were filing the application and then they didn't finish the work, and we are linking the transactional event with user experience, and it's a non-invasive method of questioning the client. We do not send a 15-page questionnaire. We understand that besides the information system, present over here is the work on methods of measuring the experience of the customers. There is Experience Institute that has developed the methods and looked into this subject thoroughly, and we are cooperating with the Experience Institute. They have designed the algorithm and to identify the cause and to act on it. A few example for you: Porsche company, not banking, not insurance, but their experience is important. Porsche is brand number one in Europe, in Germany. It has a high sports image, and they're number 6 in GD Edwards in the US, and it measures brand client perception, and they were number 26 in the US. They couldn't understand why. They started the metrics measuring the experience at each step of interacting with the customers on the eve of launching the products, and when the clients would be entering their dealers' workshops, and they have analyzed many entities, and they have gathered statistics, and a lot of subtleties in the customer relationship were uncovered. For example, they didn't have any applications for women because they were targeting males first of all. And so when a car is bought by a family, the opinion of wives, of females, is very important. That's why they have developed a new product, Macan, and it was something to satisfy females. And in selling a sports car, they could not, the customers could not test drive it. And but then they developed some test tracks in the vicinity of dealerships, and for the customers to test drive those. This is a story which is well described in the internet, and as a result they became number 1 in the US, in North America. And so it's the financial deliverable of increasing the sales volume and efficiency. And another thing, what SAP and Qualtrics company are doing, we are reducing the experience gap, resulting in the increase of the number of the clients. The statistics is on the slide, so it's not something that we have invented it yesterday.
So it is a well-tested way of analysis of customer experience, as well as experience of the employees and the impressions of the market from your products or services.
Завершая короткое выступление, я только думаю, что есть вопросы.
So as a wrap-up, I think there might be questions, and maybe you might have some questions later. It is a relatively new topic for the market, how we can work with the new experience-driven economy. So on the 21st of November in Moscow, we will do a conference where our customers, Porsche, Allianz Insurance, and Philip Morris, will share their view on how they have enhanced their indicators in customer experience thanks to using with the customer feedback and thanks to the experience management. That is the end of my presentation. If you are curious to go, please use the QR code to get registered. It is for free. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Thank you very much, and we'll be happy to have all of you at the event. And as a confirmation, yeah, our coffee is really the best. And it's more than coffee, it's experience. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Well, dear colleagues, that was the final election at the open stage of Finnopolis 2019. We'll be very happy to see you next year. We hope you've enjoyed the lectures. Please provide your feedback through the social media so that we might expand the number of lectures and get more partners and distinguished speakers who would like to participate. So your feedback would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much, and see you next year.